Good morning, Katey.
Good morning.
How are you?
Good.
You made it.
We made it. We all made it. I can't believe that we are in person.
I know.
It feels amazing.
And we're back. Yeah. I'm local to Austin, so I apologize for this terrible weather. This is not usually our spring, but stay till Sunday. It's going to be beautiful. So, I'm Sara Spivey. I'm the Chief Marketing Officer at Braze. For those of you who don't know about Braze, we are a customer engagement platform. We work with about 1,500 brands globally to help them better engage and build longer-term relationships with the consumers that love them. So, I want to start just having you kind of briefly introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your journey to arrive at TULA.
Absolutely. So guys, my name is Katey Hassan. I'm the VP of Brand at TULA Skincare. We are the leading clean clinical skincare brand in prestige beauty. Within our retail distribution footprint, we are the #1 prestige skincare brand, the fastest growing prestige skincare brand, and in fact the #2 fastest growing color brand in all of the prestige categories. So we have a very interesting background at TULA. Our brand was founded by a gastroenterologist, which makes us, I believe, the only brand in beauty founded by a gastroenterologist. So for me, as a brand marketer, I love the brand story, how incredibly unique it is, and the way that the brand really sits at the intersection of health, wellness, beauty, and focuses on beauty from the inside out. My journey and story, I came from a background of consumer behavior research. My research was understanding why people consume products in private settings. Those products that you're putting on your body, that you're doing within the privacy of your home that no one ever sees but you, how do you select them? What are they telling you about yourself? And what is the role of the brand in those relationships in order to help build that dynamic relationship with the consumer? I think one of the exciting parts about working in beauty is that it's such an emotional category, and that's why I've devoted my career to it. It's really been fascinating.
So not your first rodeo in beauty. You were with Maybelline prior. So just launching off of your last answer, tell us a little bit about what's different about marketing to a beauty consumer as compared to other categories. And we talked a little bit about it's an emotional purchase, it's a private purchase. But tell us kind of how you think about that as a VP of marketing trying to reach in.
Absolutely. And just so that I make this extremely relevant to everyone in the room, can I ask, is there anybody in the crowd who works in beauty? I know my colleague Amanda up front does, but anybody else? Okay. Well, then let me ask a different question. Who here is a consumer in the beauty category? Beauty, personal care, skincare, any of them? Great, awesome. I think that's the power of this category. The total addressable market for beauty skincare is every single person on the planet. It is a highly, highly competitive industry and category, and that we are asking you to do something extremely personal. Take our products, trust us, put them on your face, and walk around outside. The level of trust and relationship that the brand promise needs to have with the consumer for that type of consumption and with the variety of choice out there in this category, it has to be so deep and it has to go beyond just functional benefits and relate to so many other aspects of the consumer's likes and values and needs. So I will say a few other things are very distinctive. It's beauty is a very interesting animal. In addition to being very competitive, it is an extremely trend-driven category. We're very adjacent to trends both in the food industry and fashion. I think that those make a lot of sense. But it is a trend-driven category, not just from a visual perspective, but also from an innovation and science standpoint. We also use art and science simultaneously to differentiate brands within beauty. And I think that's one of the very exciting parts because both sides of that coin, whether it's the science and the powerful performance of products, or the art, whether it's the design of the product when you're holding it in your hand, or of the visual merchandising when you're in store, pulling you into that brand universe, they're equally important to the consumer because this is such an emotional category. So I think that really makes this a very, very unique industry and animal.
The other one I would throw in there, because I think it's been, I would say probably in the last 5 years, where it's really become an issue, is I think the attachment from beauty to health. Like we used to always call this category health and beauty, but I think people talked about it in terms of health and beauty. And those lines have become really blurry. I mean, the health component of a lot of beauty products now is a primary purchasing criteria, which was not true 5 years ago.
Yeah, it's very interesting, and I think that's also what drew me to TULA Skincare, like I mentioned. It's a brand founded by a gastroenterologist. She was really the pioneer in taking probiotics and adding them to topical skincare products. And her aha moment in founding the brand was she was giving probiotics to her patients in a clinical setting. They would come back for future appointments, not just physically feeling better, but their skin was glowing, they were feeling more confident, and that's when our founder realized that she had this huge opportunity to inspire that kind of confidence and to share this innovation and technology with a global audience. So I think for us, we're, that is 1,000% true of every single skincare brand. Your skin is your largest organ. It makes a lot of sense logically, but for us, that's also where our market positioning is, at that intersection between beauty and health and wellness, and based on this principle that what is good for you on the inside is also what's good for you on the outside. So I think we see a lot more brands bringing that to the forefront in their marketing and their messaging. It's definitely not just us who are focusing on that.
I think the beauty category is also one where the degree of personalization required to be successful in marketing is probably higher than many, many categories. If you think about everything we just talked about in terms of beauty being kind of a unique, almost a one-to-one product to consumer relationship, the level of segmentation and personalization that you put into your campaigns has to be pretty extraordinary. So talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'd say what's more than just personalization within our campaigns, but actually the entire site experience. One of the key tools that we use on TULA.com, which is our direct-to-consumer channel, we are primarily a D2C brand, so we have an enormous footprint in retail as well, is that we have a skin quiz on our site. The skin quiz gives everybody who visits the site an incredibly personalized recommendation for what their personal skincare routine should be. For us as a brand, it gives us over 500,000 data points on customers visiting our site every single month. That gives us tremendous insight into what we should be looking for, product innovation, how we should be thinking about email, paid, performance, OTT, all other channels from the data that we are getting through our skin quiz. It also gives us an opportunity to give those personalized recommendations, and we know through watching the lifetime value of those customers that their lifetime value is significantly higher than those who don't complete the skin quiz. So that degree of personalization really is important to driving that long-term loyalty and revenue for the brand.
I'm glad you brought up the fact that you're D2C and all the tools you have on your website. However, you just launched new body category products, and you guys made the decision to launch those exclusively with Ulta, even before you put them on your site, which in the era of the D2C relationship marketing mantra sort of flies in the face. So I have two questions for you. First one is, tell me a little bit about the discussion and the strategy that got you to that decision. And then if you've got sort of early results that sort of reinforce, yeah, we did the right thing, or maybe we should have gone to the site. I'm just curious.
No, it's a great question, and I do think the traditional strategy a lot of times is to launch on site early so that you can maintain that competitive advantage. We launched, so we're a facial skincare brand. We launched into our first category outside of facial skincare this January with a body collection. And we did this, as you mentioned, in partnership with Ulta Beauty, which is our #1 retail distribution partner. And the reason we did that is we actually developed this assortment. It's a collection of 2 products in the kitchen with Ulta. They came to us about a year ago with insights through their consumer research arm, seeing a huge trend towards this, it's called skinification of different categories. So we're seeing it in lots of categories, right? It's the efficacy, the marketing, the positioning that skincare brands bring to market, applying those learnings and those behaviors to other categories. So huge trend, skinification of body. The next trend that we're all seeing is the skinification of hair. I would expect that we'll see it in other adjacent categories like fragrance, et cetera, down the road. So Ulta came to us with this incredible white space opportunity. And, They are such an incredible partner. I cannot say enough from a brand perspective. What a wonderful retail partner they are to work with. And we were able to really distill from their category insights a lot of information. They call their customer the guest. A lot about the Ulta guest, and all the way down to what are their sensorial preferences, what are their scent preferences, what are they looking for within this product category, and develop something that was extremely customized for this audience. Now, I think what's exciting for us is to be launched with Ulta exclusively and early ahead of TULA.com, which makes, I think, a ton of sense given the innovation strategy behind this product. But because, you know, being a D2C brand, we've always had this excitement of retail being almost an opportunity to have, 1,200 out-of-home moments every single month as we move our visual merchandising in store forward, right? So it's like that's how we were catching that foot traffic and growing our brand awareness is through those out-of-home moments in store. So when we had this in store for about a month, and then we launched on TULA.com, and one of the exciting things that we saw was it really worked to have that awareness up front. One of the two products in the assortment sold out immediately. We have over 1,000% wait list on our site for it to be restocked. Restock was just this past week. It was covered in Real Simple magazine that the restock had so much buzz to it. I think personally that the awareness in store and the online purchasing behavior created that sense of buzz and urgency through our site when we did bring it to market. So it was really exciting to see, and we're learning every single day what that dynamic and partnership looks like in that kind of like dialectical approach, if you could call it that, between D2C and retail. And it doesn't need to be a trade-off. It can be additive for both them and for us when done really thoughtfully and strategically.
I also think when you're launching a new category, your loyal customer base knows you as a facial skincare product, right? That, of course, would discover your new products if they go to your site. But as an acquisition tool, Ulta has obviously a much bigger net to throw to people who are looking for body products that wouldn't know about you. So I think that's another plus to that strategy in terms of we're doing something we're not known for. How do we get more amplification?
Absolutely, and I feel very strongly that retail distribution is the number one brand awareness growth driver that we'll see over the next several years in our business. It really is that opportunity to have all of these out-of-home moments. And look, skincare is a really challenging category to sell digitally. It's competitive. It's also something that people want to touch and feel and probably try. Like I said, it's very personal. You want to, you're putting it on your face. It's hard to fully absorb that experience through a screen, and having that touch point in store reinforces the entire customer journey when you can go into store, touch and play and feel, and learn from an in-store educator as well.
I'm curious, this was not on your question list, so I'm throwing you a curveball.
No.
But I just thought about it. So one of the things, obviously, where you have kind of a channel partner is how do you get the data, right? Is it Ulta's customer? Is it your customer? How do you learn who's buying? How open are they to sharing? And how does that relationship with them work relative to getting a beat on who's buying this and why?
Well, in our dreams, they are entirely incremental and completely different humans that shop our brand independently. But I have to say, they are incredible partners. We do see a good overlap, but a little bit of a difference in terms of demographics, psychographics between our TULA.com customer and the Ulta guest, just in terms of depth of experience within the skincare category, depth of purchasing within the skincare category. A lot of people in Ulta, because of the way that their environment is structured, if you haven't been to Ulta, it's half mass, it's half prestige. So a big part of distribution within Ulta is really capturing the attention and interest of the customer who's making their very first prestige skincare purchase. And that is a unique opportunity that we have within that environment that is a little bit different than the D2C customer who could be coming really from anywhere within the category.
Yeah. I want to switch gears a little bit. So I want to talk about influencer marketing because in the beauty category, it's a huge part of the equation. And my question serves two parts. So part one is how have you seen influencer marketing evolve over the last couple of years? And then secondly, related, is the rise of these, I don't know what to call them, co-ops of sort of beauty journalists like Birdie. And is that better or worse than individual Instagrammers? That whole field is interesting to me. So
It's so fascinating to me as well. And I can remember the early days of influencer marketing when I worked at Maybelline, and then I moved on to Tarte Cosmetics that had one of the biggest influencer marketing programs at the time. And now at TULA, we actually have a very large, robust influencer, I'll call it an influencer affiliate network. There are 1,500 influencers that we partner with on a long-term contractual basis who all have affiliate codes that they offer discounts to their communities for shopping TULA products. So the way that we view this cohort is actually very different. It's not PR, it's not brand awareness. We actually view this cohort as a distribution channel. Exactly, and we track that they're led by our performance marketing team, everything we're tracking to ROAS, and think of it as being 1,500 unique distributors or retailers who are able to tailor that messaging around the product to a very specific audience that they are an expert on. And so that has been a huge growth driver for us. I think that's a huge evolution from the original days of influencer marketing being more PR driven. Now it's much more sales driven. And look, I think we're on the brink of something very new and exciting around TikTok in the last 12 months. For us, on the organic side, TikTok has surpassed Instagram as our #1 channel. And the way that content has evolved there from being less, shorter form, of course, but like more about education and entertainment mixed together rather than that traditional long form 10-minute YouTube video where you really dive in, like you have 2 seconds to capture somebody's attention, and it's a really different type of engagement. So I think that's incredible. And the last part that you had mentioned about more of this hybrid authority community, I think that look, in what to call them. I think maybe there isn't quite a name yet, but it really is this idea of where is influence and authority coming from. And for me, in my experience, over time, there's always a pendulum that's swinging one way to the other. And I think that for a period of time, we wanted to see our influencers, or people wanted influencers who were extremely relatable, knowledgeable, maybe like your best friend next door who's sharing things that she just loves. Now, we're in a phase where we're seeing a huge trend towards dermatologists being huge influencers, scientists, cosmetic chemists, as you mentioned, beauty editors, and it's this different sense of authority, and it's, hey, I don't necessarily want a recommendation from my best friend, I want it from a cosmetic chemist. But I'm also confident, having seen the pendulum swing, that we'll go back to wanting a best friend recommendation, and then a few years later we'll go back to wanting a dermatologist or cosmetic chemist recommendation, and it'll continue to grow and evolve and blend from there. But that's the big shift that I'm seeing happening right now. Is what relationship does the customer want with an authority versus a friend, so to speak?
And you talked about it as being a sales channel for you. What do the economics look like on that as compared to other channels, given these people are being paid, compensated in some way, right? Is it more economic, less economic, somewhere in between?
Very, very good and more.
Yeah.
It's definitely one of our, across the performance marketing spectrum, it's one of our strongest performing channels. And, I'd say there are a few keys to the success there. One is that we do all of the sourcing, relationship management, relationship building in-house. So we have a team of 6 people in-house who are fully dedicated to these relationships. They know when everybody's birthday is, when their dog's birthday is, when it's their Instagram anniversary, everything. And that deep level of relationship building is so important to remember that this is a group of incredibly motivated, talented entrepreneurs. A lot of brands want to work with them, and how do we as a brand come to those relationships, able to differentiate ourselves from all the other brands who are reaching out for the influencers' attention and for the share of their audience's time.
I want to talk a little bit as we wrap up here around kind of measurement metrics. So you talked about ROAS, particularly as it related to influencer marketing. At Braze, we think about key metrics around customer engagement in sort of three buckets, like activation. So how are you getting people to activate and want to be a part of your communities? We think about monetization, right? Once you've gotten into the community, how do you make them profitable? And then retention, right? How long are they staying? What are they doing? Are they referring, et cetera? So I just be curious kind of in each of those buckets how you kind of think and like where you think you're performing well and where you probably need to perform better.
Yeah, that's a great question. And I think the evolution of the paid media landscape has probably even changed the economics there significantly in the last 12 months. But at TULA, one of our core values is the marrying of left brain and right brain and bringing together the art and the data science behind having that direct relationship with the consumer, because we have such a deep database of customers on the D2C side. We're able to have a very robust set of data and variables that are not only about their shopping behaviors, but also give us deeper information like their psychographics. And we're able to, for example, do, based on somebody's purchasing behavior, understand, or if you purchase sensitive skin, let's send a customized survey to you that's asking all about your interests that we will take into account when we develop our next sensitive skin product. So for us, I'd say that we think about there's the performance of the data and the segments as it relates to revenue, right? I mean, like that's the clear and most direct measure and impact. But then there's this longer term ability to integrate it into other functions within the business to be able to drive better innovation, more relevant innovation, more relevant marketing, messaging, being in the right channels at the right time. So I think that part of our business and the way that we utilize those insights are extremely unique at TULA.
All right, last question. So it's no secret that you are in process of being acquired by Procter & Gamble. So I'm just curious, as a marketer, like my mind would be racing, right, with all the ways I would put that marketing muscle to work. But I'm just curious kind of what your thoughts are with TULA in that, group of new products in health and beauty. Like, how are you thinking about how you're going to leverage them?
Yeah, it's a great question, and we're so excited at TULA to be joining the P&G family. When you think of brands that just have that incredible staying power, forever brands, household names, they are just the powerhouse and the icon when it comes to the vision that we have for our brand. So we're very excited for this path forward. And honestly, for me, yes, unquestionably, the marketing muscle there is wild and exciting to tap into and to learn from. But for me personally, I also oversee our product development and innovation team. So I am most excited about partnering with them on the product development and innovation side. They are an incredible leader and have wonderful, just deep resources, especially for a brand like us that we're pursuing patents for our technology, and they are the right partner to be able to progress at that rate to allow us to differentiate as a brand and to have the most robust innovation possible. So I'm very excited on
a wild ride. So
really good.
A couple questions?
Yeah, we got some time for one or two questions from the audience. Any volunteers? Come on, don't be shy. All right, we got one back here. Hello? Wait, hold on, you got your mic.
Hello.
How do you find your audience needs changing during this pandemic time?
Yeah, that's a great question, and I'll say that it's changed throughout the pandemic. There are a few things. I mean, first, I'd say beauty in general and skincare specifically right now is a relatively inelastic category. So we know that there is a trend towards people wanting to engage in self-care, bigger and bigger cohorts entering the brand, trying skincare for the very first time, and building full routines and bigger routines than ever before. So we know that the customer has more time and interest because they've been home. There's time to do a more robust skincare routine. But the other side of that that's been fascinating to us is that we asked our customer on social media, what are you looking for from us content-wise during, shelter in place and times that we weren't able to engage with each other in person. And what they asked for the most wasn't self-care content from the brand. It was just post-normal content. Like this idea of anything that we can do to help create a sense of normalcy, consistency through the content experience in their lives was extremely, extremely resonant with them. So I think this idea of we're not going to become a different brand because of the changes in the category, but at the same time, we want to be an approachable brand to enter for people who have changing set of needs. But we loosely coined this, back in 2008, there was this idea of the lipstick effect, which was during the 2008 economic crisis that people still kept buying lipstick, and in 2020 we saw what we called in the press the skincare effect, which was people buying more and more and more skincare. So for us, it's how do we maintain the loyalty of people who've entered the category most recently?
Yeah, I would just add, amongst our beauty customers, I think we saw skin way up, but lipstick down. Right. So within the category, like if you're not going out, you probably don't need this list of stuff in your makeup bag. But again, the connection to health,
Exactly.
right, and taking care of your skin and using the time to improve it if you don't like it. That category has grown really nicely in the last 2 years. But it's definitely up and down depending on what you sell, for sure.
All right, I think we have time for one more question. Anybody else? Don't be shy. All right, I think that's about it then. Thank you
Thank
so
you, guys.
much, Sara and Katey.